Look, I've said this before, and I'll say it until I die or until God cracks the sky. Just because an issue is adopted by politics does not make it a political issue. Again, an issue is not political just because political figures, political campaigns, news organizations pick it up and add it to the political cycle. You can adopt a child, but that does not mean you're the original source of that child or that child came from you. People often say, stop being political, or why are you bringing politics into it? And to be honest, personally, I don't bring politics into anything because I really hate politics and what it's become. I really think politics sucks in a lot of ways, but people will often say those things. And the bottom line is real people don't bring politics into anything. Politics puts itself in its dirty hands onto everything, so that anytime you say anything, somebody somewhere can say that you're being political. And it's a cop-out. Something is not political simply because politics adopts it. Or maybe a better term is hijacked. Just because politics hijacks it doesn't mean it's political at its source. Again, personally, I don't really rock with politics at all, especially in the U.S. context here in America. I don't really rock with politics at all because I've seen the division that it creates. I've seen how people lose their minds and how people side with one side blindly, or will put their morals and their spiritual beliefs on the back burner in order to back a candidate or back a certain cause. And I just think it's become a filthy sector of life that many people should bow out of completely, because while they're engaged in it, they're not able to see clearly, or they're not able to love their fellow human or show compassion or empathy toward their fellow human beings. And in that regard, I think politics is a poison, a cancer, if you will, to this nation. And also it's the political idolatry of it all, the beholding certain men and women as this savior of sorts, or this person to be exalted and lifted up. And we got flags in our yards and flags on our cars and bumper stickers and shirts and this and that. And it's all good. Don't get me wrong. The fandom, whatever, the admiration or the inspiration, right or wrong, or whatever you call it, I mean, that's going to be there to some degree. But you have people going to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, spending money and putting some man or woman's name on their personalized license plate. It's just a look into the idolatry that we have in this country for political figures who don't know us from a can of paint, and oftentimes aren't even looking at the issues that affect us when we're backing them. But as for me, I'm not using another man's name for nothing unless that person created me or raised me. I'm a grown man, dog. I'm not putting your name on nothing, but you do what you want. But anyway, let's go back and talk about political hijacking, because that's really what it is. That's really what we fall victim to when we start looking at stuff as political issues. When we start looking for stuff as political issues, we start becoming desensitized to what issues really are, and that's people issues. If it affects people, then it's a people issue. It's an issue of honor and respect and love and compassion for people. It's not political. It's personal. And I just want to talk about one particular topic in regard to this. I'm not going to go super deep into this because that's not what I do. But I do want to take the issue that I feel like has been hijacked the most, and that's the issue of abortion here in America. I'm not here to talk about the intricacies and the anomalies and the special cases, or why it should or shouldn't be allowed in the medical field. I know that there are extenuating circumstances that these things have to occur at certain times. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about this from the lens of a person who loves God and looks at everything through the lens of faith, which I do. And with respect to that, I disapprove of abortion generally, And I believe in the sanctity of human life. And I believe that life begins at conception. I believe that, God knew us before we ever were in the womb as a cell, or in someone's body as a sperm cell or as an egg within our mothers. Before any of that biological stuff took place, God knew us. And with respect to that, I believe in life at conception. But I want to move past that just to talk about how the issue of abortion has been hijacked as a means to gain leverage and use God's name for political gain and power. I think that's the big issue at play. And that's the same thing with a lot of these issues, is that people know how to pull strings and to say certain things, and we eat it up and make it seem like, oh yeah, this is a person of God, or this is a person who really cares. Most of these people don't care about anything. They don't care about unborn kids, and they don't care about kids that have been born, and they certainly don't care about people who used to be kids. And you can tell that in the lack of policies that really affect real people, but the abundance of policies and movements that go behind capital, behind organizations and companies that fell on hard times. They'll rescue them all day, but the people here who were once babies, who were once embryos, who were once kids in middle school who have now become adults, there's no compassion for their situation, and where real change and real improvement and real rescue or help, I should say, not even rescue, but aid could occur, and where we know it's needed, there's a lack for legislation on that. And that continues to be glossed over and over again, but we still back these political campaigns and figures as if they're a savior, when they're not even looking at the least of the people in society, or the people who really have issues. They're not thinking about them, and they will not lift a finger to help them, but they expect us to give and to support. And a lot of us still blindly do that. It's political hijacking. They take the issues of mankind and the issues of people, and they use them for leverage and gain, to gain power. And it's just for themselves and their own greed. It's just for their own ego and things of that nature. So for that reason, I don't really rock with politics, and because they boil issues down and try to make them political, when it's really real issues out here and people who are being treated with a lack of compassion. That's really what it is. And so where do I stand as it relates to politics and things of that nature? I stand with the people. And that's what it is. I think more of us should stand with people. But why we're not able to do that is because our pride is what leads us. Our own self-righteousness is what leads us. Our own thought that we're correct about everything and they're just stupid. Everybody else is stupid. If you don't think this way, you're not a Christian. If you don't think this way, you're not American. You're not a patriot. You're not this and that. It's the pride and the hardened hearts that keep us from really standing with the people who need to be stood for. And so my heart is with the people always, and the people who are going through real issues in this country, whether it be people who are born here, that their background originates here, or it originates in Africa, and they were brought here because of the dark history of this country, and they don't have ties to their original heritage, if you will, or if it's people who came here illegally but have become good citizens and people who give to this country and work for this country and do jobs that you yourself can't or won't do. But then when somebody decides that they shouldn't be here anymore and starts to put stuff in place to make them leave this place, I don't rock with that at all. And I stand with the people who are dealing with stuff, who are good people, who may not be from here, who may have come from somewhere else to try and seek a better life. I still stand with those people, because the fact is that we can look at people who aren't from here and try to ship them out somewhere else or to where they came from. But what are we going to do about the people here who are repeatedly committing crimes and injustices that are born and raised here? Everything needs to be looked at. But to go back to my main point of this video, I wanted to say that this ain't political. This season that America is in is not political. These tragedies that are taking place are not political. These people who are being uprooted for their homes and made to leave is not political, it's personal. And to take it a step further, it's spiritual. These are spiritual issues. These are practical life issues. These are people issues. And until we stop siding with a political side or trying to align God with politics or align God with a side, we need to really align ourselves with God. And until we align ourselves with God and tear down all these idols in our heart, whether they be people, whether they be our own pride and thinking that we're right or righteous, until we tear down those idols, America will never be united. And it may never be united fully, but to take steps toward that end, idols must die. Pride in our hearts must die. And the reality is for a lot of us, if we're not able to put our pride aside, we need to get out of politics and everything else that is divisive. Let go of your idols. Let go of your pride. Pick up some empathy. Pick up a listening ear and put down your desire to always speak and be heard. Pick up the consideration and perspective that sometimes you might actually be wrong and need to look in the mirror and need to change some things about yourself in order to do your part to make this nation and this world a better place. And that's all I got for you. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video. Until then, I'm gone.